What if I told you that 10 words, just 10, could completely rewire your mind every morning? Not through empty affirmations, but through the same principles that built the strongest minds in history. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire on the edge of collapse. Seneca faced exile and betrayal. Epictetus lived as a slave. Yet all three began their days the same way. Not with fear, not with distraction, but with a dialogue inside their own minds. A dialogue that shaped how they faced every trial that followed. You and I fight different wars, but the battlefield is the same, our thoughts. Every morning before the world even begins, the mind whispers, "You're behind, you failed, you're not enough." That's the moment most people lose before they even rise from bed. But the Stoics had an answer, a ritual, 10 words that rebuild the walls of the mind each morning, like a craftsman restoring a fortress after the storm. These words aren't mantras of delusion. They're not about pretending everything's fine. They're ancient tools, forged in philosophy, tested by centuries, and now handed down to you. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. But the quality of your thoughts depends on the words you choose to build them with. And those words, those 10 words, can reshape the way you think, feel, and live every single day. Today, you will learn them. Not as abstract ideas, but as living truths. Stories from the men who walked through chaos with serenity in their eyes. You'll see how each word became a weapon against fear, anger, and despair. How these same virtues can steady your mind before the day even begins. Because here's the promise. If you speak these 10 words every morning, not to the world, but to yourself, your mind will become your strongest ally instead of your greatest enemy. And the solution lies not in changing your circumstances, but in mastering the only thing you've ever truly owned, your mind. As Epictetus said, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. These 10 words are the reaction, the mental shield that every modern Stoic must carry into the noise of the world. So, as the sun rises, remember this. Every day begins as a conversation between you and your own mind. Most people let that conversation destroy them. You will build yourself with 10 words. 10 ancient virtues, 10 modern powers, 10 reminders that will echo in your soul long after this video ends. And it all begins with the first word, the one Marcus called the foundation of all virtue, the one every Stoic from Zeno to Seneca believed separated greatness from mediocrity. The first word is courage. Courage. The Stoics called it the first virtue because without courage, no other virtue can exist. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." That is courage. Not the absence of fear, but the decision to act rightly despite it. When we hear courage, we picture warriors, shields raised, blades drawn. But Stoic courage was quieter, deeper. It was the courage to get out of bed when your mind tells you not to. The courage to remain kind when anger would be easier. The courage to accept reality as it is, not as you wish it to be. Seneca once said, "Sometimes even to live is an act of courage." And in that single line, he gave humanity its greatest permission, to see survival itself as victory. For Seneca, courage wasn't about charging into danger, it was enduring misfortune without complaint, meeting fate without trembling, standing firm while others crumble. Imagine Marcus Aurelius, the emperor of Rome, sitting in his tent during the plague, hearing the cries of the dying outside his walls. He wrote not of fear, not of despair, but of duty. If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. That was courage,
to live by principle when the world around him burned. And yet this same courage belongs to you. Every time you face a day you don't want to face, every time you rise when it would be easier to give in, you're practicing the same strength the Stoics revered. The battlefield may have changed, but the war inside is the same. Courage in Stoicism isn't blind action, it's conscious resistance. It's not, "I feel no fear," but "I will not let fear rule me." Because as Epictetus reminded his students, no man is free who is not master of himself. Think of that. Freedom, according to the Stoics, begins not in politics or fortune, but in courage. The courage to govern your own impulses, to act according to reason even when emotion screams louder. But courage is only the beginning. It's the fire that lights the forge. Because once you have the strength to stand your ground, you must learn how to control that strength, to master it, to channel it. That's where the next word reveals itself, the one that Marcus said tempers courage into wisdom. Without it, courage becomes recklessness. Without it, fire becomes destruction. The second word is temperance.
Courage gives you fire, but temperance teaches you how to hold it. Without temperance, courage becomes chaos, a wildfire consuming everything in its path. The Stoics called temperance the art of self-mastery, the discipline that makes strength sustainable. Marcus Aurelius wrote in Meditations, "If it is endurable, then endure it. Stop complaining." He wasn't suppressing emotion, he was mastering reaction. Because the moment you let anger, pleasure, or pain dictate your choices, you are no longer free. Temperance is not about denial. It's about direction. It's the ability to walk through temptation, fear, and distraction untouched, not because you don't feel them, but because you see through them. Zeno of Citium, the founder of Stoicism, lost everything in a shipwreck. His cargo, his wealth, his status, gone in one wave. But instead of cursing the sea, he walked into a bookstore in Athens and discovered philosophy. Later, he would say, "I made a prosperous voyage when I suffered shipwreck." That is temperance, the art of turning loss into wisdom, chaos into calm. Seneca warned his students, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." He spoke not of greed, but of moderation, the discipline to guard your attention, because what you indulge in, you become. The mind, like fire, burns whatever you feed it. Modern life has forgotten this. We reach for our phones before the sunrise, scroll through noise before thought. Temperance whispers, pause. The Stoics didn't meditate to escape life. They reflected to live it more deliberately. They practiced restraint, not to seem virtuous, but to remain free. Epictetus taught that freedom is found not in doing whatever you wish, but in wishing only for what is right. No man is free who is not master of himself. When you learn to delay a reaction, to withhold anger, to resist an impulse, that is the highest act of strength. Temperance, then, is not cold control. It's warm awareness. It's choosing your responses as a sculptor shapes marble. Every stroke deliberate, patient, precise. But temperance alone cannot complete the Stoic soul, because while it teaches you to master yourself, life also demands that you master how you treat others. It's easy to be calm in solitude, but what about when faced with injustice? When someone wrongs you? When the world tests your principles? That is where the third word rises, the one Marcus Aurelius called the essence of humanity itself, the virtue that keeps courage and temperance in harmony, guiding them toward the good. The next word is justice.
Justice. Marcus Aurelius called it the source of all other virtues. He wrote, "That which is not good for the hive cannot be good for the bee." To the Stoics, justice wasn't a system. It was a way of living. It meant aligning your actions with the good of all, even when it cost you. It was courage directed by compassion, discipline guided by fairness, power restrained by principle. Imagine the emperor himself, sitting in the midst of plague and war, making decisions that would determine life and death for thousands. He didn't ask, "What benefits me?" He asked, "What is right?" That is justice, to place virtue above advantage. Seneca wrote, "Wherever there is a human being, there is an opportunity for kindness." Justice, then, is not the domain of courts and kings. It lives in every small choice we make, how we treat a stranger, how we speak of others, how we act when no one is watching. But here lies the paradox. Justice is not always rewarded. Sometimes doing what's right leads to loss. Sometimes integrity isolates you. Yet the Stoics saw this not as tragedy, but as triumph, because the only reward they sought was inner peace. Epictetus, once a slave, said, "Don't explain your philosophy, embody it." When he was beaten by his master and his leg was broken, he didn't cry out for vengeance. He simply said, "You will break it." And when it broke, he added, "Did I not tell you so?" That was not weakness. That was justice, the refusal to answer cruelty with cruelty. The Stoic view of justice demands something radical, to treat even those who wrong you with dignity, not because they deserve it, but because you do. Because virtue is never dependent on another's behavior. And perhaps that's the greatest challenge of all, to be fair when the world is unfair, to show mercy when others show malice, to act rightly when doing so gains you nothing. But justice is not the final word, because there's something deeper, something that even justice depends on, a foundation that guides your choices when the world offers no clear answers. The Stoics called it the highest of the four cardinal virtues. The fourth word, the one that binds them all, is wisdom. Wisdom. Marcus Aurelius called it the understanding of what is good, what is bad, and what is neither. It was not knowledge, not intelligence, not cleverness, but clarity. The ability to see the world as it truly is, unclouded by desire or fear. In a world filled with noise, wisdom is silence. In a world of reaction, wisdom is pause. The Stoics believed that the human mind, when ruled by passion, becomes a storm, twisting every event into tragedy or triumph. But when ruled by reason, it becomes the calm sea, reflecting reality as it is. Seneca wrote, "No man was ever wise by chance. Wisdom," he said, "must be earned, carved from reflection, humility, and pain. It does not arrive in youth, nor through fortune, but through endurance. Each hardship becomes a lesson, each mistake a teacher. And in that quiet study of experience, wisdom begins to bloom." Marcus learned this not in peace, but in chaos. As emperor, his every decision was weighed in blood. Every word he spoke could change lives. Yet his journal, Meditations, is not a book of commands, but of questions. He writes not as a conqueror, but as a man searching for understanding. If it is endurable, endure it. Stop complaining. In that one line lives a lifetime of discipline, the acceptance that wisdom is not in control, but in comprehension. To the Stoics, wisdom was the highest virtue because it guided all the others. Courage without wisdom becomes recklessness. Temperance without wisdom becomes repression. Justice without wisdom becomes self-righteousness. Only through wisdom can virtue see clearly enough to act rightly. Epictetus taught that we must learn to distinguish between what we can control and what we cannot, and that this distinction is the beginning of wisdom itself. It is not things that disturb us, but our opinions about things. The Stoic sage does not remove emotion. He refines it. He feels everything, yet remains free. In modern psychology, this is mirrored in the concept of cognitive reframing, the ability to see events through a new lens. When we reinterpret failure as feedback, rejection as redirection, and pain as progress, we are not just surviving, we are practicing Stoic wisdom. The mind rewires itself to see through illusion into truth. But wisdom is not merely thought, it is action informed by understanding. The Stoics never separated philosophy from life. Zeno taught beneath the Stoa not to impress, but to prepare his students for storms. For the true test of wisdom is not how much you know, but how you live when knowledge is all you have left. Seneca once said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." Wisdom is what frees you from that prison of imagined pain. It is what allows you to say, "This too is within my power to see differently." That is not denial, it is transformation. And yet even wisdom, the crown of the Stoic virtues, is incomplete without another quality, because knowing what is right does not guarantee we will endure what is hard. Wisdom gives clarity, but something greater gives endurance, something that allows the wise man to bear the unbearable without breaking. The next word is one that carried Marcus through plague, carried Seneca through exile, Epictetus through slavery. It is the quiet heartbeat of Stoicism itself, the pulse that keeps all virtues alive. The fifth word is fortitude.
Fortitude. The word itself feels heavy, carved from stone. It means strength not only of body, but of spirit, the inner endurance that remains when comfort has fled. Marcus Aurelius called it the fortress within. Seneca named it the soul's armor. Epictetus said it is the proof that no external blow can wound the man who stands upon his principles. Fortitude begins where wisdom ends, in the trenches of experience. It is not built in lecture halls or temples, but in the long nights when nothing seems fair and nothing makes sense. It is forged when you continue walking, even after reason whispers that you have walked far enough. The Stoics lived hard lives. Zeno lost his fortune at sea. Cleanthes hauled water through the streets of Athens to feed himself while he studied philosophy at night. Epictetus lived most of his life with a broken leg and still taught emperors how to be free. Fortitude was not theory to them, it was breath. Marcus wrote in Meditations, "If it is in your power, why do you complain? If it is not, why do you complain?" That is fortitude, the refusal to waste strength on resentment, the willingness to meet pain not with bitterness, but with presence. The mind that says, "This hurts, but it cannot harm me." Seneca reminded Lucilius, "Fire tests gold, suffering tests brave men." He understood that adversity is not punishment, but purification. Each difficulty burns away illusion until only what is essential remains. Fortitude is that purified self,
untouched by fortune's change. Modern science calls it psychological resilience, the ability to recover from stress and trauma. Yet the Stoics went further. They sought not only to recover, but to use suffering as a teacher. Every hardship, they said, contains a lesson in disguise. To reject it is to reject growth. Epictetus told his students, "Do not wish for things to happen as you wish, but wish them to happen as they do, and you will go on well." That is fortitude distilled, acceptance without surrender, cooperation with fate. In that acceptance lies invincibility. Think of the times you have endured silently, the heartbreak that did not break you, the failure that became direction, the loneliness that carved space for strength. You have already practiced fortitude, though you may not have named it. But the Stoics warned, endurance without love hardens into bitterness. Fortitude must never close the heart. It must stand like a pillar, firm but open. The purpose of strength is not to resist life, but to serve it. Marcus endured not to escape duty, but to perform it more faithfully. And here lies the bridge to the next virtue. Because once the soul has learned to endure, it must also learn to see beauty within endurance, to remain gentle in a world that glorifies hardness, to find harmony even amid chaos. The next word softens the edges of fortitude without weakening it. It is the virtue that allows the strong to remain peaceful and the disciplined to remain kind. The Stoics saw it as serenity born of understanding, the quiet grace after the storm. The sixth word is tranquility.
Tranquility. The word feels like still water, not lifeless, but alive in its quietness. To the Stoics, tranquility wasn't the absence of chaos, it was mastery over one's response to it. Seneca called it the smooth flow of life. Marcus Aurelius called it the mind untangled. It is the inner silence that remains even as the outer world roars. After fortitude, after the long nights of endurance, tranquility becomes possible. But it doesn't arrive like a gift. It is cultivated through attention. Marcus wrote, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." Imagine that, an emperor surrounded by armies, politics, and betrayal, writing about peace within his own chest. His world was noise, his mind a sanctuary. But what does tranquility mean for us? In the modern storm of notifications, ambitions, and unspoken expectations. We wake up to chaos before we open our eyes. Our minds sprint before our feet touch the ground. We chase calmness as if it's somewhere out there, in a mountain cabin, a distant weekend, a perfect moment. Yet the Stoics whisper, it's already here. Seneca warned that most men, while in pursuit of rest, are driven into turmoil. We search for peace the way a drowning man searches for air, never realizing it's the struggle itself that keeps us submerged. Tranquility begins the moment you stop fighting with life as it is. It is not laziness, it's clarity. It's the ability to let things be what they are without losing yourself in judgment. The Stoics practiced it through ataraxia, freedom from disturbance. This didn't mean indifference, but proportion, knowing which emotions serve reason and which enslave it. Modern psychology mirrors this ancient truth. Mindfulness research shows that observing thoughts without attachment rewires neural pathways, shrinking the amygdala, the brain's alarm center, and strengthening the prefrontal cortex, where reason lives. What the Stoics called tranquility, neuroscience now calls neuroplasticity in balance. Marcus practiced this in his journal,
a ritual of quiet reflection. Each morning he would write, "Today I shall meet with interference, ingratitude, arrogance, deceit, disloyalty, ill will." But then he added, "They are my kin." That single phrase dissolved resistance. Tranquility isn't gained by controlling others, it's gained by understanding them. Seneca described tranquility as a mind neither lifted up nor cast down. Picture the sea, calm not because there is no wind, but because its depths are stable. You can throw stones at the surface, but its stillness below remains untouched. The Stoic doesn't chase stillness, he becomes it. Tranquility is also an act of rebellion. In an age that glorifies noise, distraction, and outrage, calmness is resistance. When you breathe deeply amid chaos, you're doing what the ancient emperors and philosophers did, refusing to be a slave to the moment. But tranquility alone is incomplete. The Stoics believed it must lead to something greater, the ability to see clearly and act justly from that calm. It is not enough to be peaceful, one must also be purposeful. Seneca wrote, "We must not only be at peace, but make others so." This bridges us to the next word, a virtue that transforms tranquility from a personal refuge into a moral force. If tranquility is the calm sea, this next word is the compass that guides ships safely across it. It's the Stoic foundation of fairness, integrity, and balance, the harmony between strength and virtue.
Purpose. It is the fire that gives warmth to tranquility. Without it, even peace becomes stagnation. The Stoics believed that every human being was born for action, but not just any action. Action aligned with reason, virtue, and the greater good. Zeno called it living in accordance with nature, which meant not drifting aimlessly, but participating consciously in the order of the world. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "A man's worth is no greater than the worth of his ambitions." Yet his ambitions were never about glory or conquest. They were about fulfilling his duty as a father, a ruler, a human being. His purpose was not to be celebrated, but to be useful. Imagine that mindset in today's world, where worth is measured in attention, not contribution. Marcus would remind us, waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. Seneca said, "If a man knows not to which port he sails, no wind is favorable." The Stoics didn't fear stillness, they feared aimlessness. For they knew that the mind, when untethered from purpose, becomes its own tormentor. Anxiety, envy, despair, all grow in the soil of directionless living. To wake up without a why is to drift through days like a ship without a rudder. But purpose, in the Stoic sense, wasn't grandiose. It wasn't about chasing fame, building empires, or leaving legacies carved in marble. It was about aligning your daily actions with reason and virtue, the micro choices that define the macro life. Marcus's purpose wasn't to be emperor. It was to act justly within the role fate assigned him. Epictetus's purpose wasn't to be free from slavery, but to remain free within it, mentally, morally, spiritually. Modern psychology calls this meaning orientation. Viktor Frankl, who survived the concentration camps, echoed the Stoics when he wrote, "Those who have a why to live can bear almost any how." That statement could have come straight from Epictetus's classroom. Purpose does not remove suffering, it transforms it into strength. We often think our purpose must be discovered, as if it hides somewhere out there waiting for us. But the Stoics taught the opposite. Purpose is created, moment by moment, through the integrity of your actions. Epictetus said, "What is yours? The use of your impressions. Your purpose is not what you do, but how you do it." The craftsman finds purpose in his craft, the parent in their patience, the student in their pursuit of truth. And yet, the Stoics also warned that purpose must never become obsession. If the pursuit of meaning turns into a chase for validation, it loses its soul. Seneca wrote, "He who hurries through life hurries to his grave." True purpose moves quietly, steadily, like a river, not desperate to arrive, but certain of its course. Think of your mornings. What if, before the rush begins, you whispered to yourself, "Today I will serve my purpose." Not a grand one, not a perfect one, just one aligned with truth. That simple reminder could shift the entire rhythm of your day. But here's the paradox. Purpose alone, even when noble, can become a burden if it lacks something deeper: compassion. The Stoics knew that purpose without kindness becomes pride. Conviction without heart becomes tyranny. And so, the next word softens the fire of purpose with the light of understanding. It is the Stoic thread that binds all others, the quiet power to act with warmth even when the world grows cold. The ninth word is compassion.
Compassion. To the untrained ear, it sounds unstoic, too gentle, too emotional, too fragile. But those who truly understood Stoicism knew that compassion is not the absence of strength, it is its highest refinement. The Stoics believed that wisdom without compassion becomes arrogance, and purpose without compassion becomes tyranny. The heart must guide the hand, or virtue becomes vanity. Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man of his time, wrote privately in Meditations, "We are made for cooperation, like feet, like hands, like eyelids." Imagine that, an emperor who saw himself not as ruler, but as a part of the human body. Each person a cell in something larger, each action either healing or harming the whole. Seneca, often accused of cold rationality, wrote to Lucilius, "Wherever there is a human being, there is an opportunity for kindness." He did not say, "when it's convenient." He said, "wherever," even toward the ungrateful, even toward the cruel, because the Stoic knew that another's cruelty was often a symptom of their own suffering. Epictetus went further. A man who had known slavery, chains, and beatings, he taught his students, "What insults you injures itself." He understood that anger, malice, and envy are not attacks, but afflictions, diseases of the mind that deserve treatment, not retaliation. Compassion, for the Stoic, was not weakness. It was the refusal to let another's sickness infect your soul. Modern neuroscience echoes this wisdom. Studies show that compassion activates the brain's prefrontal cortex, the center of decision-making and empathy, while quieting the amygdala, the alarm system of fear and anger. Compassion literally rewires the mind toward peace. What the Stoics practiced through daily reflection, modern science now measures in brain scans. But compassion isn't always gentle. Sometimes it's the firm voice that tells the truth, the quiet courage to forgive, or the strength to walk away without hatred. Marcus practiced this daily. Surrounded by betrayal and politics, he wrote, "The wrongdoer has acted wrongly toward himself." To see that truth, to see that the enemy's cruelty is their own punishment, is compassion in its purest Stoic form. It's easy to love when love is returned. It's harder and more transformative to remain kind when kindness is rejected. Seneca called that the mark of true strength. A good character, when tested, shines brighter. Compassion is not sentimental. It's strategic. It's how the Stoic breaks the cycle of suffering that ignorance creates. Think about your own life. The moments when bitterness tempted you, when anger felt justified, when revenge whispered that it would bring peace. What would happen if you paused,
just long enough to remember that every person you meet is fighting an invisible battle? What if you saw their weakness as a mirror of your own? The Stoics would say that in that moment, you become more than human. You become humane. Compassion also restores balance to the Stoic path. It keeps wisdom from becoming cold, fortitude from becoming harsh, and purpose from becoming prideful. It is the gentle weight that steadies the sword of virtue. Yet even compassion, as luminous as it is not the summit. There is one word left, one final pillar upon which all Stoic practice stands. It is not a feeling, but a realization, not a virtue, but a vision. The moment you grasp it, all others fall naturally into place. The 10th and final word is acceptance.
Acceptance. It is not resignation. It is not surrender. It is the quiet recognition that life owes us nothing and yet gives us everything, breath by breath. For the Stoics, acceptance was not passive. It was the ultimate act of courage. It was saying yes to the universe, even when the universe said no. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Welcome every experience the looms of fate may weave for you, for what could suit your needs more fittingly?" He was not asking us to enjoy pain or celebrate loss. He was reminding us that the pattern of life, both dark and light threads, is beyond our full understanding. To fight reality is to fight the gods themselves. To accept it is to walk beside them. Epictetus taught, "Do not seek for events to happen as you wish, but wish them to happen as they do, and your life will flow well." He spoke from chains, yet he called himself free. That paradox defines acceptance, the ability to remain inwardly sovereign when outwardly constrained. Seneca, confronting his own forced death, wrote to his friends, "Let us meet fate with courage. It is not death that is evil, but our fear of it." Even in his final moments, he practiced the art of letting go, calmly, rationally, even gratefully. His serenity in dying was the living embodiment of Stoic acceptance. Modern psychology calls this radical acceptance, the willingness to face what is without judgment or avoidance. Neuroscientists find that when we stop resisting reality, the brain's stress circuits quiet and clarity returns. What the Stoics discovered through reason, science now confirms through study. Resistance amplifies suffering. Acceptance dissolves it. But acceptance is not indifference. It is engagement without attachment. The Stoic still acts, still fights injustice, still seeks virtue, but does so without needing to control the outcome. Marcus governed an empire under siege, and yet wrote nightly, "If the gods have determined otherwise, so let it be." His peace came not from victory, but from alignment with necessity. Think of the moments in your own life when things fell apart, the relationship that ended, the plan that failed, the silence after disappointment. Acceptance does not erase the ache, it transforms it into understanding. You begin to see that life's detours are not punishments, but recalibrations, guiding you toward what you were always meant to learn. To accept is to return to the present. It's the breath between resistance and release. When Marcus said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way," he was not glorifying obstacles, he was describing alchemy. Acceptance
turns adversity into progress. This final word gathers all the others. Wisdom teaches what to see. Fortitude endures what we must. Tranquility steadies the mind. Purpose gives direction. Compassion keeps the heart open. But acceptance ties them all together. It is the summit from which the entire Stoic landscape becomes clear. When we finally stop demanding that life obey us, we discover something astonishing. It has always been trying to teach us. Every hardship, every loss, every joy, all whisper the same truth: amor fati. Love your fate. Not merely tolerate it, but love it because it is yours. And that love, quiet and fierce, is the essence of freedom.
Marcus Aurelius began every day not with luxury, but with clarity. He wrote, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love." That was not poetic optimism, it was armor. The Stoics knew that mornings shape destinies. The thoughts you choose at dawn become the architects of your entire day. So imagine this: before the phone glows, before the world intrudes, you sit for one silent minute and speak to yourself not with noise, but with wisdom. 10 words, 10 pillars, each one a reminder of what it means to live deliberately. The first, gratitude. You whisper, "I am grateful to awaken." Gratitude is your first defense against chaos. Seneca said, "He who is not grateful is not wise, for we have received everything." Gratitude reframes the ordinary as miraculous. The breath you take, the light on your face, the chance to try again, they are privileges disguised as habits. Then comes awareness. You remind yourself, "Today I will watch my thoughts." Marcus wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." To be aware is to regain sovereignty. In that simple moment, you stop being a passenger of emotion and reclaim the helm of reason. The third word, justice. You remember that fairness is not optional, it is your duty. You whisper, "Let me be fair in speech, in judgment, in heart." Marcus commanded himself, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." Justice keeps your conscience clear when the world tempts you with shortcuts. Then, wisdom. You do not pray for fewer problems, but for greater perception. Epictetus taught, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." In the quiet, you recall that truth, and it steadies your mind like a compass finding north. Next, fortitude. You take a breath and affirm, "Whatever comes, I will endure it with grace." Seneca reminded, "Difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body." That line becomes your quiet oath. You will not be broken by the day, you will be tempered by it. From fortitude, you flow into tranquility. You pause, you let silence speak. You say to yourself, "I carry calm wherever I go." Marcus found this peace amid wars and pandemics. So can you amid traffic and noise. The world will rush, but you will remain the still point. Then purpose, your reason for rising. You whisper, "I will live today as nature intended, with intention." Your role may change daily, friend, parent, leader, student, but your purpose does not, to act with integrity. Seneca wrote, "To be everywhere is to be nowhere." Purpose brings you back home to yourself. The eighth word, compassion, arrives like sunlight. You remind yourself, "I will be kind, even when others are not." Marcus said, "The best revenge is to be unlike your enemy." Compassion disarms cruelty. It transforms encounters into lessons. And then, acceptance. You close your eyes and whisper, "Whatever happens today, I will meet it with equanimity." Epictetus would smile at that, the very heart of Stoic practice condensed into one sentence. The Stoic doesn't control the storm, he becomes the calm within it. Finally, you seal your morning with the 10th word, presence. Though not written before, it lives within all others. Presence is the quiet realization that life is not tomorrow or yesterday. It is this moment, this breath. Marcus urged himself, confine yourself to the present. This is how you rewire your mind, not through sudden transformation, but through daily remembrance. 10 words, 10 minutes, infinite peace. And yet, as the Stoics knew, practice without reflection fades. To truly transform, one must understand why these words matter and how they interact when the storms of life return. That understanding awaits in what follows, where we explore how to live these words, not merely recite them.
Living the words, that is where Stoicism begins to breathe. The Stoics never wanted philosophy to live in scrolls or lectures. They wanted it in the bloodstream. It was not a creed to memorize, but a discipline to enact. Every hour, every conversation, every setback. Marcus Aurelius did not test his patience in temples. He tested it in the Senate, among flatterers and conspirators. He practiced tranquility, not in solitude, but in command of legions. The battlefield was his classroom. The throne was his meditation seat. Seneca didn't study fortitude in theory. He lived it as Nero's advisor, navigating madness with dignity. Epictetus taught acceptance not in comfort, but in poverty. The Stoics lived their words where it hurt to do so, because that's where truth sharpens. Modern life offers its own battlefields. You wake to a flood of messages, responsibilities, and unseen expectations. You rush, react, regret, repeat. Yet the Stoic morning words you whispered now stand as quiet sentinels, each one ready to intervene if only you remember them. You face insult, and compassion steps forward. It reminds you, what insults you injures itself. You lose something precious, and acceptance steadies you. What stands in the way becomes the way. You meet failure, and purpose whispers, this too serves the whole. These are not abstract ideas, they are psychological shields forged in reflection and tested in pain. Seneca described philosophy as medicine for the soul, and these 10 words are your daily prescription. They work not when repeated, but when applied. Gratitude rewires the mind from scarcity to abundance. Awareness exposes the traps of thought before they close. Justice keeps your integrity intact when shortcuts beckon. Wisdom filters emotion from fact. Fortitude trains you to stand still amid disappointment. Tranquility keeps your heart from panic. Purpose gives meaning to monotony. Compassion dissolves resentment. Acceptance frees you from illusion. Presence roots you in the only place that truly exists, now. But the Stoics warned of a subtle danger, the danger of knowing without doing. Epictetus scolded his students, "Don't explain your philosophy, embody it." He saw too many men speaking of virtue, yet trembling at the first sign of hardship. He reminded them that philosophy is not eloquence, it is endurance. So imagine this scene. You stand in a modern crowd, noise, traffic, tension, uncertainty. Around you, impatience brews. Yet inside, you recall your 10 words. You breathe once, deeply, and the noise becomes distant.
You remember that you are not your thoughts, not your fears, not your reputation. You are your choices. This is what living stoically means: to walk among chaos, untouched by it, to remain kind in a world that confuses cruelty with strength, to act justly, even when injustice rewards others, to carry serenity as rebellion, humility as power, discipline as freedom. Marcus once wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." In that single sentence, he gave away the secret to modern happiness, that peace is not purchased or inherited, it is practiced. Each of your 10 words is a seed. Daily you water them with awareness, and daily they grow into something unshakable. But even the Stoics knew, words, no matter how noble, fade without reflection. The final step, the closing of the circle, is to look back upon them each night and measure your conduct against them. For philosophy is not only a way to rise, it's a way to rest. And so, in the next scene, we return to where the day ends, to the soft light of evening, where the Stoic reviews himself honestly and without shame. There, in the final silence before sleep, the mind becomes its own teacher again. The next moment is sacred. It's the Stoic evening reflection.
The Stoics believed that how you end your day determines who you become. Each evening was not merely a pause, it was a ceremony of the mind. Seneca called it the audit of the soul. Marcus Aurelius did it nightly, whispering in silence. When you arise in the morning, think of what a privilege it is to be alive. But when you rest at night, ask if you have lived as a human being. In that sacred hour between wakefulness and sleep, he would open his heart to honesty, not judgment, honesty. He would ask himself, where was I ungrateful? Where was I blind? When did anger win? Did I act from reason or reaction? Did I remember that nothing is promised? These questions were not punishment, they were purification. They washed the mind clean before dreams began. Imagine this practice now, centuries later, in your own dim room. The phone is silent. The world, for once, asks nothing of you. You take a deep breath, and the echoes of the day replay. The words spoken, the emotions felt, the moments you wish had gone differently. You feel the temptation to judge yourself, to call it failure, but you stop, because you remember what Marcus wrote: waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. The evening reflection is not about guilt, it's about alignment. It is where you meet yourself without disguise. It's the mirror Epictetus spoke of when he said, "If you wish to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." The Stoic does not need applause. He needs clarity. And that clarity is born from the courage to face one's own missteps without flinching. Every Stoic kept this ritual because they knew philosophy without reflection is noise. Without evening introspection, morning discipline fades into habit, and habit, unexamined, decays into pretense. The reflection renews sincerity. It makes your 10 morning words more than recitations. It makes them your measure. Seneca described his nightly habit in one of his letters. When the light has been removed and my wife has fallen silent, I examine my entire day and go back over what I have done and said,
I hide nothing from myself. He believed that peace comes not from perfection, but from awareness. In the quiet, he turned mistakes into teachers, irritation into humility, fatigue into gratitude. So now, as the candle burns low, you might try it yourself. Take one of your 10 words, perhaps the one that felt hardest today, and lay it gently before your mind. Did you honor it? Did you betray it? What did it reveal about you? If you lost patience, remember that awareness itself is victory. You noticed, and noticing is the seed of change. Then, when the answers grow still, whisper the simplest Stoic prayer, not to any god, but to your own reason. May I awake tomorrow more awake than I was today. This is the rhythm of Stoicism: dawn discipline, daylight action, dusk reflection. It is the pulse of a mind training itself toward freedom. No grand rituals, no lofty speeches, only the daily work of meeting life as it is, and meeting yourself as you are. Outside, the empire still trembles. Inside, the Stoic sleeps with calm breath, for he knows that no storm can reach the mind that ends each day in truth. But there is still one word left, one final thought that binds all the others, the unseen thread woven through gratitude, awareness, justice, wisdom, fortitude, tranquility, purpose, compassion, acceptance, and presence. The Stoics called it logos, the divine order, the reason within all things. And it is this final revelation that turns the 10 words from philosophy into destiny.
The Stoics believed that the ultimate wisdom was not found in scrolls or speeches, but in silence, the kind that comes after understanding. After the day's noise, after the striving, after the endless analysis of what should or shouldn't have been, there remains only this: you are still here, breathing, thinking, becoming. All the 10 words you've carried: gratitude, awareness, justice, wisdom, fortitude, tranquility, purpose, compassion, acceptance, presence, were never meant to be isolated virtues. They were fragments of something whole. They were ways of remembering the truth that Marcus Aurelius whispered to himself as his empire burned. The universe is change. Our life is what our thoughts make it. Change. That is the heart of it all. The Stoics didn't seek to freeze time or escape emotion. They sought to align themselves with the current of life itself, the logos, the divine reason that governs all things. To live by the logos is to live without resistance, without self-deception, without fear. It is to accept, to act, to love in the same breath. Epictetus taught, "Do not ask that events happen as you wish, but wish them to happen as they do happen." That single shift from control to harmony transforms suffering into understanding. It is the bridge between despair and peace. It is what turns the Stoic from a mere thinker into a free soul. Think of it like this. In the morning, your 10 words are seeds. Through the day, they are tested by circumstance, emotion, and others' behavior. At night, you water them with reflection. But the next morning, when you rise again, something subtle has changed. You are no longer reciting the words. You are becoming them. You are no longer seeking calm. You are calm. You are no longer reminding yourself to be just.
You act justly without thought. You no longer chase purpose. Your purpose breathes through your choices. This is the Stoic way, the transformation of repetition into embodiment. Seneca once wrote, "As long as you live, keep learning how to live." The Stoics knew that enlightenment wasn't an arrival, it was a daily apprenticeship under life itself. Every failure, every delay, every joy, each one was a lesson delivered by the universe in perfect timing. And when you finally begin to trust that rhythm, when you stop demanding perfection and start practicing presence, the noise of life dissolves into a quiet gratitude that needs no reason. That's what Marcus Aurelius meant when he said, "Look well into yourself. There is a source of strength which will always spring up if you will always look there." The Stoics didn't seek divine favor or fortune. They sought alignment with their own nature, reason, virtue, love of fate. And in that alignment, they found invincibility. So as the night deepens and the candle finally gives its last light, imagine this: you, standing by that same invisible flame. The world outside will continue, unpredictable, indifferent, magnificent. But within you, something unshakable has awakened. You now carry a fortress not built of stone, but of understanding. You carry the same armor Marcus wore, calmness, the same weapon Epictetus wielded, reason, the same freedom Seneca found, acceptance. And tomorrow, when the first light touches your room and the world pulls you again into noise, you will whisper your 10 words, not as a mantra, but as a remembrance of who you already are, a being capable of serenity amid chaos, integrity amid corruption, compassion amid cruelty. Because this was never about becoming a Stoic, it was about remembering that you already are one. That somewhere beneath your fears and distractions lies the same stillness the ancients found, waiting to be lived. So, as Marcus Aurelius closed his own day, we close ours, not with applause, not with promises, but with a single quiet truth. No man is free who is not master of himself. And tonight, you have begun to master yourself, one word, one breath, one day at a time.